the 12th day of Black History Month, and we are going to continue with our lessons from Black History Month with today's topic focusing on selective protection. Now, we all know what that means, selective protection. This is a lesson that has not been learned, since the founding of this country and within other nations as well. Within the world, this has not been learned. It is a lesson that should have been learned a long time before. And the lesson of Black History Month, which I think many like to overlook when it comes to why we celebrate Black History Month, is selective protection, or the outrage that comes from when something happens from one group. Since we're focusing on Black History Month, from that group of Black and Brown, but when it also occurs in the white group, it's because of because of an issue, right? A sensitive issue, or there's no real outrage when it comes from that side. There's no screaming when it comes from that side. There's no more accountability that is looked for when it comes from the other, right? The other. So, of course, since we're focusing on Black History Month, the idea would be when a crime is committed by a Black person, there's outrage. But when that said crime is committed by a white person, oh, there's minimization of why this crime occurred, the heinousness of it. Oh, they probably, had issues at home, or issues within their personal life, or mental issues, or something like that. Something to minimize a form of accountability. Now, when we see it in today and age, it not only just focuses on race, right? We can say it focuses on political party. We can say it focuses on even within groups and teams that we're in. Say like a swim team. My daughter's on the swim team, so we'll use that as an example. So there could be minimization between different groups. So this group is more talented because they're faster, or is it just that they're getting more support, so that's why they're faster, right? And these people over here may not have specific times, and they don't have these specific times because they're not getting that extra support. So obviously there's a bias in how everyone on the team is being trained, right? We see this in the workplace. We'll see certain people advancing while other groups of people do not advance. We see it in research all the time. We'll see how even when it comes to pay, and why we're having the push for equal pay, because men will outpace women when it comes to pay, and even promotions, right? We'll see it with promotions. We'll see it with certain trainings that are offered. This group of people is offered a certain training, while this group of people aren't offered a certain training. This can go not just with that group of people, but the department that they work in, the division that they work in, the type of work or field that they work in. All of these things show how selective protection is still a thing currently within the present, and is following us into the future, because we are not learning the lessons of the past, the lessons of the past that focus on only certain people, and only a certain few can, have an opportunity. So it's one of those things where when we look at, and it's not just focusing on, and this is not just about race, this is about anything, us picking a select few, having our own natural biases that we may not be knowing that we have, or at the same time, having these biases and owning these biases and recognizing that that's what it is. And so holding on to these ideologies that only one group is of standard or desiring to be protected, while other groups are not. And that group, the protected group, is the only group to have an opportunity. Okay. Hi, thank you for joining me. Okay, so this is my friend from high school, is a Black man and created his own food business in Los Angeles. Funny enough, he is not an angry, traumatized person. Why should he be angry and traumatized? What does that mean? Why should he be angry and traumatized? Be more clear about that. I don't understand what you mean, the used talk. No, I don't know what that means. Is it the insinuation that he should be, or the stereotype that he should be an angry and traumatized black man, or that he should? I don't know what you're trying to say. I don't understand the statement. But I mean, yeah. I mean, why should it be an angry, traumatized black man? I mean, he sounds like he's a focused black man. If he's starting his business and he's creating a way in life, good for him. I don't think anyone is angry. I don't like that stereotype, cuz that's a stereotype that he should be angry because he's a black man. I mean, that's going into this selective idea of selective protection that I'm speaking about, that someone should be a certain or carry themselves a certain way because they're black, or because they're brown, or because they're white, or because they are rich and they live over here, or they're from this group, or they live in that neighborhood, or they're part of this dynamic or this field of study. That's how we fall into that ideology, that someone is that way because of who they are. I get all the time like when I talk on the phone the first thing people say is, "Oh, I thought you were white." I get the stereotype all the time. And my name is Lisa Marie Lee. So I walk in a room and then they see me, they're automatically like, you know, because of those biased thoughts that we have of the assumption. Because my name is Lisa Marie, first and foremost. So someone's going to assume probably French, right? Maybe white, not really sure. And then my last name is Lee. So they're going to automatically assume I might be Asian. So when I walk in the room, it's a whole bunch of confusion. It's a whole bunch of confusion, especially if they've talked to me on the phone first and then I walk in the room. It just goes crazy. They don't know what to expect. Honestly, I mean, and that's just how we are as humans. So, like, we can say, oh, that's because of society, but it's just the human thing, right? But you make an assumption. You just naturally make an assumption. No, I'm not French. No, I know, right? But I'm just saying, because my name is Lisa Marie, and then my last name is Lee. So they're like, oh, are you related to Bruce Lee? So they don't know what to think, right? So it's these biases that we have just in society, or just in the idea of who we are, and it's just the understanding of that. And I can laugh at it because it's funny, because that's not who I am. And people think that, right? So it's just really weird. It's really weird. To me, it's weird. It's sad that I have to, like, I like to laugh through pain and this stuff like that. I think that's a natural thing for African Americans. That is one stereotype that is true. We laugh through our pain, or we know how to laugh through the bullshit. So that's one thing. It's like for you to make an assumption of that. But yes, I appreciate you saying that I look like I'm from Nigeria or Uganda. I appreciate that. I lived in Monrovia, Liberia when I was, I want to say from when I was like 4 to 7 years old. So I've been blessed to have been to Africa. No, I am older than 30. I am 43. I am 43. So thank you. No, I am not. Yeah, I'm an 80s baby, born in 82. So that's another reason why I'm doing these talks, because it's like I feel like we don't talk enough about why we shouldn't have these biases, I feel like now it's a bad word to say, that's racist, or we shouldn't think that way, or why are we always trying to make things separate? We're all human. We should not be looking at, the negative aspect of things. Of course, I was born before the iPhone. My name is Lisa. So technically, I'm named after the first Mac. Because the first Mac was named Lisa. First Mac computer. Yep, the first Apple computer was named Lisa. Remember, he named it Lisa after his daughter. But no, I'm not named after the Mac. That's just a joke. I'm not named after that. No, it's just a joke. But yes, It's very important. See how I can come on and I can laugh and I can show the human aspect of all of this when it comes to these types of discussions. And that's because there's no real hate there. It's just, the that we're moving forward and we're having knowledge, right? I ain't that old. Jesus. That's more like uh that's putting me back. I'm not that old. Jesus. No, but even when we speak of like these differences in ages, like, the differences in us recognizing how even though we're different, we're similar in so many ways. And that's why it's no reason to have this negative thought process, and division, in humanity. It's crazy. It's unnecessary. The selective outrage, because you feel as though someone is just evil because they are that person, right? And that needs to stop. That negativity needs to stop. We can't take that into the future. That is, and everyone needs to be held accountable regardless of what group we are in. No, I ain't no grandma. Not yet. I'm old enough that I probably could be a grandma. There are grandmas that are 43. So, but no, me personally, I am not. No, I am not. But there are grandparents that are 43 years old. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't see anything wrong with that. I ain't judging. Like I said, hey, I'm all about not promoting any form of negativity or judgment, and accountability for all. Not everybody needs to be viewed as superior. You're not, no one person is superior than anyone else, and when someone makes a mistake, they need to be held accountable. So that's what selective protection is about. You can't have outrage for one person doing something and not the same outrage for another person, regardless of race, whatever, social, societal beliefs, religion, whatever. Everyone should be held to the same standard. And that's not just in society, but also in the workplace. And that's something that we need to speak up about as leaders in holding people accountable. But for some reason, as I've been saying with all these talks, which it all links back to fear and us being afraid to hold people accountable, to speak up on things that are necessary about holding people accountable, and, not letting those that are in power, leaders, institutions, people that are deemed respectable, we're yelling for the other group, but when it comes to these that we uphold as powerful, we do not hold them accountable. Now, I could go into this in a lot of aspects that we see that are going on in society and being held on the news and all of that, but I'm not trying to go down that rabbit hole. I'm here to bring awareness. I'm here to let it be known that we need to start speaking up and we need to start holding accountable. And, that's the world that we live in. How are we to move forward in society and push forward through in society if we're constantly allowing those that have caused chaos, regardless of what group they're from, to get away with it? How are we to do that? That's something that we need to actually focus on and learn from, because this is not just a lesson from Black History Month. We're just focusing on that specifically because it is Black History Month, but this is a lesson that should have been learned pre-Black History Month, since the beginning of time, of not holding those in power or those that we feel are superior, accountable when they do things that are illegal or things that, are causing a detriment to society or hindering or suppressing other people. That is something that we need to do. And we need to not have fear about that. And I think as we go uh further into this new strange world that's being created, I don't know what's going on with all of the weirdness coming out with these files and all this and that, and highlighting weird conspiracy theories. And now the conspiracy theorists are now kind of being viewed as right all along. It's getting weird out here. So I don't really know what to believe anymore. But what I do know is if we have proof that people are doing things that are, sketch, they need to be held accountable. And that's not, and it shouldn't matter if there are people that we view as brilliant minds because they've written all of these scholarly articles and novels and have advanced our thought process and how we go about in societal thinking, or if it's someone that's just a politician or just someone that's a business owner and leader, that's something where we fall off because someone's in power so that they're smart. Someone that has power, that means that they're untouchable. Someone that's in power, that they can never be wrong, and that their idea of shifting society and creating best practices, I hate that word, best practices, is correct. As if there's no other way or no other innovative way to go about it. And then when we find out that these people really aren't great people, we don't want to admit it. We start to whisper, oh, what did you hear about this person? Did you hear about, oh, no, 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 no. But if someone else in society, the average person, a homeless person, a Black person, an average low-level society viewed person committed the same crime or committed the same acts or did the same things, spoke those same words of negativity, then we're screaming with outrage. Oh my God, no, we're not going to do this. We're taking that side and we're ready to, with pitchforks, to hold these people accountable. There's no whispering. There's the shouting from the mountaintops, regardless of what that is, But say that same negative action, whatever that negative action is, I'm not speaking on anything, but let someone in power, someone that we feel has shifted society and we've looked up to, or they hold power, whether in a religious setting, a preacher, I guess you could say, a preacher, or even the Pope. We could say even the Pope, right? Or someone like that, a priest, or in the corporations, though all of those, the C-suite, all of the board members, all of the people with power that create all of these ideas, these policies and things, which are also designed to suppress us. But we go along with it, right? Because it's a rat race. So we act like it's not real because we're getting paid. We're able to live our lives. So we're going to shut up because we want that paycheck. So we're just going to act like they're not already suppressing us. But then we find out that they're doing other things, right? They're doing other things that are horrible to society, but we ignore it. Why? Why are we doing that? I want to know why. Yeah, the same idea. Yeah. Why are we accepting that? Why are we accepting that people that we uphold in powerful positions, why are we accepting